Hey out there, ladies and gentlemen, UCR land. We are back for another very special across the pond moment. Very breaking news. So we decided that we would get our lovely European correspondent, the lovely Lee, back with us. We've got Luke here today as well. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening.
So, yeah, evening here, lunchtime for Lee. So, nice little crossover.
What time is it there right now? Is it about 9 o'clock?
Nearly 10 here. Nearly 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So the reason for our conversation is not really a happy one, but I thought that since we had done so well with Meghan and Harry earlier, we would definitely jump on and cover this today. Sadly, literally within the last half hour, we've had the announcement of the death of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. I'll go straight to the palace statement, which kind of sets the tone for everything. This is from Windsor Castle. The following statement is made by Royal Communications. It is with deep sorrow that Her Majesty the Queen announces the death of her beloved husband, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. His Royal Highness passed away peacefully this morning at Windsor Castle. Further announcements will be made in due course. The royal family will join the people around the world in mourning his loss. So, as I said, this is really, really breaking news. So, what's the general feeling over there, Lee?
I mean, there's been a couple of posts in a WhatsApp group that I'm in, which is full of British, Welsh, Irish people. So it's quite a broad scope of feeling, to be honest. But I think generally it is a sad statement. It's a sad state of affairs. And I think with everything going on with Harry and Meghan, it's probably, not that you ever time it, but bad timing. I mean, everything is about the royal family at the moment. So I think this is going to kind of put another shadow onto things. But yeah, ultimately, he was a cheeky chap. Sometimes a little bit. He was known for crossing the line. So yeah, I think generally people are quite sad. And you know what? I think overall they're really sad for the Queen. Because obviously what was she, 13 when she met him? I think she was 13, he was 18. So her whole life has been spent with her husband, even before they got married. So the sadness there for the Queen is almost palpable.
Yeah, it's understandable. I think everything the Queen has sort of endured in this last few months, and now it's led up to this. I can understand why the people feel that way. And, even us as being part of the Commonwealth, we feel in Australia a closeness to the royal family, like,
of course,
as general, like, and I think this is a big thing. Like, my mother texts me, this happened just now, and it's, nearly 10 o'clock at night. So she was like straight onto it, like it was a very important thing to her.
I think it's definitely too early for it to be felt properly, but it'll be interesting to see how things do play out in the next few hours, days, and stuff. But as Lee said, they've been married now for 73 years. He's the consort to the world's longest reigning monarch. That's historical. That's right. It's a historical moment.
It is, yeah. Ultimately, it's history. It's sad history. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been half an hour, so just within my group alone is sadness. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out.
Definitely, but I think, as you said, a lot of people will probably, the sympathies will go towards the Queen. She's described him as her strength and her stay. So literally through everything that she's been through, he has been right by her side. So it's a very exposing moment for a monarch that has had that consort for her entire reign to kind of be left without that advice, that extra ear that, knows the whole personal side of things.
Correct. I think certainly from the Queen's point of view, the impression I always got was that he was there as you know, a figure of support. I don't believe, obviously he was a very opinionated man. But the Queen is no shrinking violet. She certainly would have listened to what he had to say, but her decisions were her decisions. But obviously to have that figure of support for so long, and to know that that person would be there through thick and thin, where, you know, whether it was a good decision or a bad decision, she always had her husband there by her side, physically and metaphorically. So there's going to be, I mean, the last year with COVID, I think led a very quiet but very insular life. COVID isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and I think she's going to find herself in a very lonely position. Certainly with the conflicts and the challenges she has with her own immediate family, I think she's going to feel this is going to have such a huge impact on her. And she's a strong and stoic woman. But I mean, this is a challenging time and then some.
Well, Lee, how long do you think it's going to take before the media is going to shift the focus from this death straight to are Meghan and Harry going to be at the funeral? I can already see the headlines now and the magazine covers. And I think that's going to make a big impact on the royal family.
You know what? The only person who I feel any sincerity from is the Queen herself and Wills. The media is going to make an absolute, it's going to be horrendous, because it will be all about Harry and Meghan. And bless Harry, I don't think he's even going to be seen. It will be all about Meghan. And that will be down to the media. And the empathy towards the royal family won't even factor in. I mean, it never has before, it won't this time. I think this is going to be exacerbate and, you know, compound her grief, her loneliness, what's ahead of her. I think she's going to be living quite a lonely life of solitude from here on in. That's my that's how I feel it's going to go forward, if I'm honest. And it will be, you know, you're right, it's going to be all about Meghan and Harry, and it's a horrendous state of affairs, and it's you know, that's what the media does. It's awful.
Exactly, but all eyes are going to be on whether I think that his relationship with his grandmother is that strong that the biggest question is he going to attend the funeral, right?
I think it would finish them if he didn't. He will be there. There's no way he won't be there, because him and his grandfather have very similar sense of humor. You know, they're both quite cheeky. They both push the envelope. You know, they've both been guilty of crossing lines. Both of them. They're very similar. So he would have been very close to his grandfather. He'll be there.
Exactly. So, do you think that this is probably leading more towards an abdication?
I mean, the Queen has she's made her feelings on abdication very clear. I can't see it, because her life has been in service since I'm not even sure how long she's been Queen. I can't recall the numbers. I just don't think it's in her. Yeah, it's just not in her to step down. And actually, what else will she do?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. But how often do you hear that of spouses that one goes and then, you know, 6 months later?
It's so sad, and they've been together for so long. My heart breaks for her. It really does. I'm not a huge royalist, as you know, but as a person, for God's sake, my heart breaks for her.
Yeah. So he actually passed away at Windsor. Now, for those of the people watching, Windsor Castle has a whole township smack bang built around it. And the relationship between the royals and the town is quite an interest. Like, they're not, it's not that they're nonplussed to see them, but they're very
not
much
starstruck.
they're not starstruck by it. How do you think that this will affect Berkshire and that area specifically? I mean, that's they're long-term residents. They're used to their presence there, and now the focus is going to be right back at Windsor Castle again. It's like there's no kind of private grieving for them. It's all going to be public, as it always is.
Yeah, I think obviously. Well, you know, it's difficult to say because obviously they have their residence in Balmoral, which they also spent quite a lot of their time at. Berkshire's it's quite a, what would you say? It's a reserved area. It's, you know, the people there are quite reserved. It's a very, what you call a retirement community. You know, it's quite a grey market. But to be honest, I think Berkshire's not going to be any different to the country as a whole. I think everyone was fond of the Duke. I don't think the outpouring of grief will be quite as significant as people will expect.
Yeah, because I was about to say that he's not without his scandals. I mean, there's been a few.
God, no. Yeah.
So probably, and I think a lot of people have to differentiate what we see on The Crown between real life, especially if you are not, you know, if you are not growing up with that as your everyday life like the UK people are, it can get quite confusing. But he definitely ruffled feathers in his time, straight down to the Mountbatten name being included in his, like, the official title of the children and stuff like that. He wasn't a shrinking violet when it comes to coming to the crown at all.
No, but I think he probably, do you know what? He added character to the family, and I think he added humour to the family. But I don't think he was as loved and beloved as the Queen and probably Wills and Harry. He was very much as a side character. So I think the grief will be focused on the loss for the Queen. Obviously, it will be felt because, you know, the passing of a member of the royal family is always a shock, and it's always very, you know, there's a lot of press involved. But I think actually it will be focusing on, well, what's the Queen going to do now?
Yeah. Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's actually funny. There was a piece on television tonight about the Queen before this happened, where they were showing like the life of Queen Elizabeth, and you know, going back to like her appearances, showing some of them in Australia, and then this happened like within half an hour of that being on television.
Wow. I mean, it was, you know, it would have been expected. He's been in hospital. I think he was in hospital for about 4 weeks, having treatment on his heart. He's 99. So it's no great surprise that he's passed. So I can guarantee that all of the press, they've got all their material good to go. And I can tell you now, when I come off this
there was
call,
already a video that rolled out just then when we were looking for a couple of stuff.
There you go. Yeah, the Daily Mail will be all over it.
Oh, no surprise.
I know. but yeah, it'll be good to go.
He's definitely, and I think the side character analogy is very interesting because he was never. Imagine being married to the Queen of England. Like, what is your identity? What is you know?
Her husband. That was his identity.
Exactly. So the rumors of affairs and the racism that, you know, comes from, and I don't think it was ever intentional, hurtful racism. It just comes from, you know, being born in a different era and, you know, being out of touch. But he's always been this kind of little bit of a little bit of a thorn in the side. Even though he served a purpose, you know what I mean? He was her official side piece.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, he was very wasn't he? I think he was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And he was in the Second World War, and I think he was in Matapan. He was very successful as, you know, someone who served his country. He was very successful, and I think without having married into the royal family, he probably would have been a leader of sorts. Because he did have that you know, that nature about him, that authority about him, which was surprising that he was. And it did seem that for the most part he was quite comfortable being the support to the Queen as opposed to a king in his own right. But you know, to say he was racist, he certainly had his moments when he was racist. I don't think you can say yes, he was from a different generation. That's not to excuse it or condone it. It's just a statement of fact. He never really seemed to move with the times. He never seemed to want to move with the times, if I'm honest. And being part of the royal family, I imagine he was really quite sheltered, with all due respect.
Exactly. And it's like we were talking about last time, they are stuck between these hundreds of years of tradition and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got your Harry, Meghan, William, Kate, these people that are trying to bring new life and a new relevance back into the royal family.
So much more surveillance of everything. I mean, you know, it makes the Fergie toe sucking seem like nothing with the stuff going on.
God, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Are you glad I brought it up though?
Yeah. those images of seeing everyone's great. But I think we've all expected this coming after that accident, right? Like that accident seems to be a big watershed moment again. Yeah, just you know.
I'd say probably the last couple of years, he's probably his health and his mental state have probably, you know, taken a downward trajectory. And to be honest, he was 99, so a great innings.
Expected. It is sad, but like as you said, it's no shock, is it? Like,
no, and totally understandable and acceptable. To be honest, it's just unfortunate because every accident he ever had was plastered all over the press.
Exactly.
You know?
I feel like those the last year or so he was kind of banished to the house. Kind of him and Andrew were just put away, put in the cupboard, and you know ignore these ones and focus on focus on these young ones, and they can't be trusted.
Oh no, I don't know. I mean, we were talking about whether in regards to her abdication, I don't think she will. But I was saying, wouldn't it be nice as head of the monarchy to use her position to kind of, you know, supersede Charles and go straight to Wills? Because Wills can bring the monarchy into the modern age, whereas I don't think Charles can. But
we had this conversation last time.
It's just, I think if he will be far more accepted by the masses, and I'm sure less attacked by the media.
He's more relatable. They both are.
Definitely. You've just got to look at the coverage that they, and we talked about this with the Meghan and Harry interview when we discussed it. You just got to look at the coverage that they get. It's very, 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 very rare that anyone has a bad thing to say about Kate and William. Very rare.
Yeah, I mean, they're a class act.
They know the job. That's the thing. They know the job.
You know what? That's exactly what it is. They know the job. They know what's expected of them, and it's like you can almost compare them to Barack and Michelle Obama. You know, he went into the White House. He had a job to do. He did the job. There was no tabloid stories coming out about, you know, either of those. There was no scandal. They just did the job that was asked of them, and they did it very well. You know, there was no courting the press. It was all about getting the job done, and that's what Wills and Kate do. They get the job done.
I feel like he's very much in his grandmother's position when she took over the role. Basically, he will have to prove himself, and it will probably bring, you know, a Brit. Look, we do say it. He's the hope for the future of the monarchy. Really.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's fully prepped. He knows what's going to be expected of him. He's probably ready to step into the job now. I think he was born to be a king.
Well, destined, really, wasn't it? It was all destiny. So I think we can wrap it up there because there's not really a lot more to say, but I'm sure over the next couple of days, we will find out about everything and everyone's feelings about everything. And we might have to have another catch up soon. But
I was about
thank
to
you
say, let's see what bombs are dropped and give me another call.
Exactly. We'll be
But
in touch. We love it.
I hope they do have empathy for the Queen, though. I know the media is that's not their thing at all, because they just want to sell papers, they want to get
Yeah.
news coverage. But I really hope there is just some empathy there for her, because she is an old woman and she's grieving now the loss.
She's
and
a good woman.
And it's going to be. I'm just already seeing the circus that it's going to turn into, and
Yeah.
it's a shame.
That's the worry, isn't it? That it turns into a circus, which I think it probably will. But you know, the country does love the Queen. There's no doubt about that. So the empathy will come from the public, and I think that will probably dictate how the media reacts and how it presents itself. But we'll see. I'm sure there'll be a few bombs. You know, it's bound to happen.
There always is.
So,
There always is.
Always is. So you give me a shout, and we can catch up another time.
Definitely, we'll be in contact. Thank you for giving us some time today, Lee. I'll see you again soon.
No problem. Nice to see you, Stephen. Lovely to meet you, darling. I'll speak to you both soon.
See you, honey.
Take
Bye.
care.